Hey everyone, my name is Perry, and welcome back to the cassette phase. So first of all, Happy New Year. Welcome to the first video of 2025 here on the channel. Where, as we know, here at the cassette phase, it's actually still 1987 in our hearts. But for this first video of the year, I don't really have anything fancy planned for you. I just want to share some recent physical media and print media pickups that I've acquired over the past couple of months. Now, some of these were Christmas gifts, and others were purchased using gift cards that were Christmas gifts. But then a few of them were also just pickups from the months leading up to the holidays. So we're mostly talking about DVDs and VHS tapes, a few books, a small stack of comics, and I did pick up some video games recently too, mostly Sega Genesis, but I'm going to save that for a separate video. I've made some recent changes here in the den that I hope are going to help me to better enjoy retro gaming in 2025, so stay tuned for that. But for today, let's take a quick look at some media. Some items that will keep me busy from an entertainment standpoint all throughout this year and probably beyond. Sound like fun to you? Come hang out. Okay everyone, welcome back to the Ottoman here in the den, where it's a beautiful day in here, honestly. I've got the windows open slightly, it's sunny and about 60 degrees outside. I know that's about to change here pretty quickly, but I'm gonna enjoy it while it lasts, and it's a great day to take a look at some pickups. So let's start with just a few of the recent VHS tapes that I've picked up. Nothing too exciting here, but I do have some new ones that I wanna show you guys. Starting with this Flintstones tape, Babe in Bedrock. And I thought this was kind of cool because, let's see if I can get it open here. Yeah, it's on a white tape, which is, I feel like that's something you don't see every day. I think it's about a 45-minute, nothing too lengthy, but cool to have. I like I said, the white tape is unique, I think. Always happy to have some Flintstones episodes to watch. The next one is a gift that my wife got for me because she heard me say that while I have just about every Christmas special and Christmas movie, either on VHS or DVD, I did not have Santa Claus the movie. So she went ahead and ordered that for me, so I had it, and we've had it going out in the kitchen throughout the Christmas season. So this is a great one. I remember watching this one as a kid and just thinking it was pretty cool. Just another classic, wholesome Christmas movie, Anyone else remember this one? And then the last VHS tape for today was another gift, which is Dinosaurs, the old sitcom from the 90s. And this is kind of a double holiday special. You've got the Halloween special, and then you've got the Christmas special. On one tape, which I think is pretty cool. Nice little seasonal item. Very nostalgic show there from the 90s, like I said. Good old Dinosaurs. So let's move on to DVD. Now, I've been picking up a lot of DVDs recently. For those of you who have been around, you know that the VHS closet is getting a little full. Kind of overflowing at this point, and while VHS will still be my number one format of choice, I'm really liking the convenience of DVD lately. I've got a couple of different DVD players hooked up in the den here, and sometimes the discs are just easier to work with than the VHS tapes. I've had a couple of tapes get eaten recently. I recently had to switch out a VCR that was eating these tapes. It's kind of a love-hate relationship with VHS, as you guys probably know, but I'll always have a special place in my heart for that format, but I've also really enjoyed collecting DVD recently. So let's look at a few of those. I've got a pretty good stack here, so let's keep it moving. First up is the one that I've got playing on the console TV this morning. Shirt Tales was one of my favorite cartoons as a kid. And I'm happy to have this on physical media because this isn't one that you can find readily available streaming anywhere that I know of. I used to have the Boomerang app. I ended up getting rid of it because I wasn't using it enough. It was cool for things like Yogi Bear and Flintstones and Jetsons and Huckleberry Hound and some of those big ones. But it was missing a lot of the more obscure ones. You know, there was no Shirt Tails, there was no Hair Bear Bunch, there was no Pac-Man or anything like that. No Snorks. Some of my favorite Hanna-Barbera stuff was just missing from that app. So if they add that kind of stuff, I'll probably sign back up. But for now, I'm just going to keep an eye out for these DVD sets. Because again, this was a great cartoon. All right, what do we have next? Let's stick with cartoons here for a minute. Where I've got this little 4-episode disc of A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. A lot of these were found at Half Price Books, which is my favorite store in the world, honestly. We've got, 4 or 5 locations here within driving distance of me, and I like to hit them up pretty regularly because it's just a great place to treasure hunt and find little things like this for $2 or $3, Somebody probably just donated this or sold it for a dime or a quarter and thought nothing of it, but this to me is treasure. I love being able to put on old cartoons like this in the background and just have them going while I'm in here working. Another cartoon, which I know at least one of the viewers of this channel is a big fan of this show, but the Teddy Ruxpin cartoon there's just something about it, like the music, the animation style, it's just so nostalgic. And it's funny because I don't even really remember watching a ton of this show as a kid, but I did catch a few episodes. Never had the toys. I've got a couple little figures now, but I never had the full like Teddy Ruxpin, teddy bear. But I just always been kind of a casual fan of this cartoon, and this collection has 20 episodes on it, so that'll probably be all I need. I've got a couple VHS tapes as well with this show, but it'll be good to have the discs. All right, moving from cartoons into sitcoms. I've been on a big Brady Bunch kick lately. Something about that show just reminds me of being home during the day, either home from school sick, or maybe just home from school in the summertime, and this was just on. So I've got season 2 there, and I also recently picked up season 3. So I'll eventually go back and track down all of them. They're not expensive. They're everywhere, but good little collections to have. Always fun spending time in the Brady house with the gang. And then the last sitcom that I picked up was season 6 of Home Improvement. Now, why do you want this show on DVD when it's already streaming on Disney Plus? Well, why do I want any of this stuff? Honestly, I just like to have the physical copy, and more than that, I like to be able to play it on the CRT, which I have moved, which I'll talk about in another video. But I like being able to play it there and there, and have it be full screen, not super high def, just kind of the way that I remember it. The resolution that I remember watching it in is the resolution that I like to watch it in now. And let's take a walk over to the cabinet, because I think season 6, I think that was the last season that I was missing for Home Improvement. Let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. So let's work that in if I can. Yeah, so, well, I think there was an 8th season that I'm still missing, but pretty close. Pretty close to complete on Home Improvement there. And let's actually pause on DVDs for a minute, because I do have several movies I want to show you, but in between, let's mix in some other types of media. So let's take a look at some of the recent comics that I've picked up. So Dynamite just started a new comic series based on the classic DuckTales cartoon, so I had to start grabbing those. I've got issue 1 and I've got issue 2. I haven't read either of these yet, but I did flip through them and the art looks pretty incredible. And you really can't go wrong with a good old DuckTales adventure. And then I also picked up the, I may have already shown you guys this one, I can't remember honestly, but the Ninja Turtles Usagi Yojimbo crossover from the Saturday Morning Adventures series. That'll be fun to read for sure. This was just a blind pickup, the Autumn Kingdom. It looked really cool. The art was intriguing on the inside, and it looked like a cool story. So I'm excited to check that one out, see where it goes. Then I went ahead and picked up issue 1 in the Ewoks series that they've got going for Star Wars. I thought the art was pretty eye-catching on that cover. You know, the Ewoks get a lot of hate within the Star Wars universe, but I was always a fan. I always thought the Ewok village and Endor was one of the coolest environments in the galaxy far, far away. I picked up a random Thundercats issue. Not even the beginning of this series. This is number 5, as you can see, but art looked pretty cool. I was always a big fan of Chitara. Be interested to see what's going on with her in the comic stories. And if this, you know, catches my attention, I'll go back and grab the first 4 issues. Transitioning into some older stuff here. Now, this is a reprint. As I've mentioned before on the channel, anytime they put a reprint of a classic issue out on the stand, I'm usually going to pick it up. They kept the ads in, you know, the art is just, that's my favorite era of comic book art. So yeah, anytime they do a reprint like that of a classic issue, I'm usually going to grab it. And then some actual older issues, just filling in some X-Men that I didn't already have. 185, cool cover there with Rogue and Storm. And then 189. And the last one, just an older issue of Wonder Woman. I just thought that cover was so cool. I may have actually shown you guys this one on my Halloween comics video. I can't remember, but always worth seeing again when the art is just that cool. Okay, diving back into the DVD stack here. Go through these kind of quickly. I picked up Dragon Slayer, which was still sealed. I've never actually seen that movie. And it just looked like cool, you know, campy 80s fantasy. So I'm excited to check that one out. A classic here with Trading Places. A great 80s movie that I did not have on VHS. So some of these movies that you'll see today I have on VHS, and you know, I just grabbed the DVD because it was either cheap or I wanted a backup copy. But this one I did not have in any format, so excited to have Trading Places in the collection. Really cool movie here with Escape from New York. Awesome cover. Always up for a good John Carpenter adventure, you know? Good stuff there for sure. I already had it on VHS, but I did not have it on DVD, surprisingly. So when I saw that on a clearance rack at Half Price Books, had to pick it up. Really cool movie here that I haven't seen in a long time, Tequila Sunrise. There's just something about the art, the movie poster and the movie cover art from movies of this era. That's just so eye-catching to me. You know exactly what the vibe of the movie is going to be just by looking at that. Should be a good summer flick. Speaking of summer flicks, this one's a little bit cheesy. Good old from the 90s, My Father the Hero. Kind of a guilty pleasure if there is such a thing. I don't know. This movie was always on cable when I was like in middle school and high school, and I always watched it when I was flipping through the channels and it came on. So I just have some fond memories. It's not the greatest movie by any means. Definitely a product of its time, but yeah, I'm happy to have it on DVD. Sticking with the 90s here, we've got Species. Another cool movie from back then that I have not seen in a long time. Do you guys like when it has this type of case? I haven't really decided if I like that better or not, but regardless, there you go with Species. And then a couple of modern movies that feel a little retro and fun to me. This Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. I actually really enjoyed this movie. And you know, I got this cheap DVD version of it, which will allow me to watch it in full screen if I want to, on a CRT, make it feel a little bit old school, or watch it in its original format as well. It's good to have the option. And then randomly, I picked up Sonic 2, even though I don't have Sonic 1 and I have not seen Sonic 3. But when you see things on clearance for dirt cheap, you know, media like this, I say pick it up if you think you're ever going to want to watch it. If it's horrible, you can always sell it back, you know, donate it, throw it up on eBay, whatever. But yeah, so that's it for the stack of DVDs for this time around. And rounding it out for this video, let's take a look at just a few books, a few novels that I've picked up recently. The first one being Sunderworld #1, The Extraordinary Disappointments of Leopold Berry. Now this was in, I think, young adult, maybe even teen, but I just couldn't pass it up. I mean, first of all, the cover grabbed my attention for obvious reasons. Look at that artwork. But then the little synopsis on the dust jacket, I'm not going to show all of it to you, but check part of this out. In the blurry weeks after his mother's death, 12-year-old Leopold discovered VHS tapes of its one and only season in a box headed for the trash, and soon became obsessed. I guess this Sunderworld series is what they're talking about. And losing himself in Sunder was the best way to avoid grieving and disappointing his father. So there's probably going to be some teen angst in this. But anytime they're going to use VHS as a storytelling mechanism, I'm at least going to give it a shot. So that's the first one. An actual vintage book here, at least somewhat vintage, 1990, Second Child by John Saul. Another one that just sounds like it's right up my alley. You know, supernatural thriller type stuff. Always fun to read. You know, books from this era, they can be hit or miss, but they're usually at least a good time if you go in not looking for something life-changing. You know, you're not looking for an award winner every time, you're just looking for a good time. And these spooky types of books like this are always fun for me. Speaking of that, if you guys, I don't know if any of the people that watch this channel are into books. I am going to do another book review coming up soon because I'm almost done with The Stand by Stephen King. So kind of like I did with Christine, I'm going to do a review of the book and the movie, or the miniseries in that case, and kind of compare and talk about what I liked about each and what I didn't like about each. But there are a lot of people that do quote-unquote booktube. You know, it's just, there are a lot of people out there. It's almost like retro content creators. There's a lot of us, right? But if you haven't checked out the Eerie Archive, and you like, you know, spooky stories like this, you know, the Stephen King and other types, you know, similar, check out her channel. She's kind of like me. She's just starting off, and I'm always up for, you know, giving a shout out to channels that are growing, because I've had other channels help me the same way. So yeah, if you like reading at all, or just fun, spooky stories, and a really cool vibe and a really cool atmosphere overall, check out the Eerie Archive. The next book, this was kind of just, I took a chance because Dungeon Crawler Carl sounds like a fun time to me. It caught my eye on the shelf, and I know this is part of a series, it has to be. But when I read through the description, it just reminded me a little bit of books that I've loved in the past, like Ready Player One and similar things to that. So it may be horrible, it may be great. I'm gonna give it a shot and see how it is. And then, not retro at all, but my wife got me the first 2 books in Brandon Sanderson's The Stormlight Archive. She knows that I like fantasy. You know, I'm a big fan of things like Lord of the Rings. You guys have seen, I did a whole video on my favorite 80s and 90s fantasy movies on VHS. So I love this genre and this type of stuff. I'm currently 2/3 of the way through the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson, which I don't think you have to read that before diving into this big series, the Stormlight Archive, but I think it just kind of helps lay some of the foundation and some of the groundwork and helps you understand some of the magic and how that all works. And those Mistborn books have been great so far. So I've got one left in that series, which I'll knock that out after I finish up The Stand. And then I'm going to dive into the Stormlight Archive because I've heard nothing but good things about this world and this book series overall. And there we are. So what kind of stuff have you guys picked up recently? Did you get any cool vintage or retro Christmas gifts? Let me know. And if you are a fan of things like VHS tapes and DVDs and comic books and video games, consider subscribing. You will surely find something that entertains you on this channel throughout the year. But for now, and as always, relax, enjoy life, and be kind. We'll see you in the next one.